know what to do. Well, how are you going to go about it, Erik ten Hag? Are you going to try and take the game to Bayern Munich? We know what Bayern Munich will do. They'll be aggressive. They'll press Manchester United high. I think that's when Manchester United are at their best, counter-attack.
Manchester United, red shirts, white shorts, white socks, as our Norwegian referee Espen Eskhaus gets us underway. So they're attacking the Stretford end in the first half against Bayern, all in black with a purple trim, as Musiala picks up an early ball and is challenged by Maguire. Comes towards Coman, flicks it in there to Harry Kane, who's got round the back. He whips over a dangerous ball from the right-hand side. The flag is raised, however, as Sane was at that far post, but already a warning sign in, 15 seconds?
Yeah, early warning. Harry Kane was a yard offside, but slick play from Bayern Munich down their right-hand side. Coman on the half-turn. Kane with the run in behind. Good ball across, but had they popped that one in, it wouldn't have counted.
Barnet 0, Newport 2 is the latest score in the one of the FA Cup second-round replays. So Manchester United know with a victory they will be in Europe of some description for next season, whether it be the Europa League or the Champions League. But first and foremost, they've got to win and end Bayern Munich's incredible record unbeaten run in the Champions League of 39 games, undefeated in the group stages, where they've won 35 and they've drawn 4 of those since they lost 3-0 to Paris Saint-Germain in September of 2017. So the odds are stacked against Manchester United.
Well, I mean, they've got to lose sometime, haven't they, Bayern Munich? Why not tonight?
Well, it's a very impressive record. Mazraoui forward on this near side. Certainly in his programme notes, Erik ten Hag, there is no room for self-pity or wondering about what might have been, because here we are, we can only control what we do tonight, says Erik ten Hag, and certainly they will only have themselves to blame as well when you consider that 3 times in the 5 games in the Champions League group stages, Manchester United have thrown away leads.
Yeah, I mean, and let's get it right, it's a group. When it was drawn, we would have expected Manchester United to get out of it, a gentle group, and then they've got the work to do tonight, and even that may not be enough then.
Garnacho to Bruno Fernandes. He invites Garnacho to try and run at Upamecano, who turns, and in fact Upamecano comes under a little bit more pressure from Garnacho, but the last touch came off the young Manchester United player, and it goes out for a goal kick for Neuer.
Yeah, you know what, I think if Bayern Munich have a weakness, it's down their right-hand side. Mazraoui hasn't had a great season, by all accounts, for Bayern Munich. He is the weak link, and Garnacho needs, when he gets the ball, to really get at him and exploit him.
Mazraoui, who Erik ten Hag will know from that Ajax side that he managed so successfully. League and Cup doubles in 2019 and 2021. Indeed, of course, Erik ten Hag taking Ajax to the Champions League semi-final, where they came up against Harry Kane's Tottenham Hotspur. Manchester United win the ball with Dalot on that far side, the right. The ball goes back inside. Cut back from Dalot and then spoon behind for a corner kick, as Manchester United made good progress down that right-hand side, and it was Dalot causing all the problems.
Yep, positive run from Dalot, an underlap, gets to the byline, pulls the ball back, but it's Joshua Kimmich at that near post who intervenes there, but good aggression. It may be McTominay won the ball back in positive play. Højlund was ready in the middle, but timely block from Kimmich. 4
minutes in, BBC Radio 5 Live. Bruno Fernandes to take the corner. It's high, it's lifted from that right-hand side. Upamecano has got all the time in the world to attack that. We're also live on BBC Radio Manchester tonight, who are taking our commentary. And don't forget the BBC Sounds app as well. That is always available, as Shaw hits a long, searching diagonal ball that will be kept in play by Anthony. Off his chest, runs forward now. Anthony pulls it back. Bruno Fernandes looked a little slow to react to that, but he got there. Keeps the ball with United. McTominay, top scorer of course this season, back towards Anthony. Anthony onto his left foot, but it was always going over the top. Into the Stretford end it goes. Goal kick, 5 minutes played, 0-0.
Yeah, they keep the ball pretty well, Manchester United, in the Bayern final third. Drop of the shoulder from Anthony, but he's off balance, leaning back. That's high and wide. Just hasn't quite clicked for Manchester United in that final third. this season. Champions League, in fairness, they've been okay, but Premier League, bang average.
This is Manchester United's 25th appearance in the Champions League group stages, the most of any English club, only 3 behind Real Madrid and Barcelona. And with Manchester United's history, 9 previous times they have gone to match day 6 needing a result. But of those previous 9, they've only progressed on 4 occasions.
You're a little bit negative tonight, aren't you? Every stat you've
Are you
brought up tonight.
Are you surprised I'm negative? It's the second time I've worked with you in 4 days. Your influence is rubbing off on me, Chris. 5 minutes in, 0-0.
A bit of positivity.
Manchester United 0, Bayern 0. I do recall that your pre-match prediction was Bayern to win. So I'm not too sure.
Yeah, but with the deflected goal.
Your optimism didn't exactly last long, did it? We only filmed that an hour ago.
You've got a good memory.
Garnacho, that was a sharp turn away from Mazraoui, but Koeman is back there helping out. In fact, it's Koeman who will find Kimmich and Mazraoui. Tight triangular passing between the Bayern Munich players, and Mazraoui is able to bring the ball forward, and then he's stopped and checked by Shaw, and that will be a free kick. 0-0. Crewe 0, Bristol Rovers 1 is the latest score in the FA Cup second round, so there's been a goal in every one of those tonight. There's also a first round tie that is being played between Scarborough and Forest Green, and it remains 0-0, not only here at Old Trafford but also Copenhagen Galatasaray. If it stays like that in Denmark, that is the ideal scenario for Manchester United. Kim, formerly of Napoli, helped them to their first title in 33 years last year. Very impressive as well. The South Korean international he was too. After only having a season from Fenerbahce, Mazraoui is forward, inside to Coleman, just couldn't take it into his grasp, and it goes through to Onana, all in yellow, away towards our right-hand side, Chris Sutton.
Yeah, that centre-back partnership for Bayern Munich, Kim and Upamecano, they've been pretty solid, pretty consistent this season, but they are quite bare. Don't have a lot of cover in that department. If either of them gets injured, both were injured earlier on in the season. Goretzka ended up playing centre-half with Mazraoui. Now that's not ideal.
No, talking of Manchester United's central defensive pairing, Varane and Harry Maguire, only the 3rd time that they've actually started together this season. And for Varane, it's his first start since late October against Copenhagen. As Anthony carries the ball forward on the right-hand side, cuts inside, then along the byline, stumbles, falls to the floor, and the Norwegian referee says that will be a goal kick to Bayern Munich. 7.5 minutes played, remains goalless.
You know what though, the Manchester United wide players, Garnacho and Anthony, both being direct. Anthony going to ground a little bit too easily there, but positive play. Getting at Kim there, little nutmeg initially. But it's about end product, isn't it? And there hasn't been enough this season from the wide guys at Manchester United.
Well, certainly Manchester United worst finishers in the Premier League. 18 goals from 243 shots in the Premier League. As here is Sane, formerly of Manchester City, of course, to Koeman. Koeman slips it into Mazraoui. Nobody's tracked the run of Mazraoui. Tried to play it into the near post, blocked by Shaw. Shaw gets it away now towards Garnacho. Garnacho's going to be faced by Goretzka. Goes on the inside, then Harry Kane running back, helping out. Takes it away off the toes of Garnacho as Bruno Fernandes tries to put pressure on Kimmich. But here is Kimmich now. Ball just getting stuck underneath his foot. And the referee says he was fouled. And so the Bayern midfielder falls to the floor, and a free kick which is already taken. Goretzka, Upamecano, across to Kim, left side of the centre circle. Canadian international Alphonso Davies is on that far side. Kimmich with his versatility. Of course, he started out as a right back, but like Philipp Lahm, able to play in both positions. 82 caps for Germany. Kimmich, Upamecano to Koeman. Harry Kane very, very deep, just outside the centre circle. His attempted ball was closed down by Fernandes. Goretzka then plays it back. Goretzka was a player linked with Manchester United as recently as the summer. As Kimmich finds Goretzka, his left wrist heavily strapped, bright orange boots. Davies forward. Kimmich makes himself available, looks towards Davies once again. That was blocked by Anthony. Loose ball picked up there by Musiala. Finds Coman, right corner of the penalty area, threatening. Harry Kane's early shot. Onana makes the save. It was off his right foot, edge of the area. Onana, though, to his right, comfortable 0-0.
Yeah, that's half a chance for Harry Kane. As Coman to Manchester United, players go out, shut him down. He pulls the ball back, Coman, to Harry Kane. He's 18 yards out, right-footed, tries to bend the ball into the far corner past Onana, but doesn't get the power. Half a chance for the prolific England captain.
22 goals in his 19 appearances for Bayern Munich, and 18 in 13 in the Bundesliga is a Bundesliga record. Talking of goals, there's been another one at Vicarage Road. Aaron Paul.
Equaliser for Ipswich, Watford 1, Ipswich 1. Great work by Omari Hutchinson down the right hand side. He chopped onto his left, drilled a shot towards goal. It was parried out by Ben Hamer into the path of George Hurst, who couldn't miss from a few yards out. Watford 1, Ipswich 1.
Coman midway through the Manchester United half. Goretzka in between the two central defenders. Both the fullbacks are pushed on. Davies on that far side. How's it started in Copenhagen? Conor McNamara.
It's still Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0. The hosts have had the best early chance, though. Ankerson, one of the two changes in the team from the last group game, was played in. Slightly tight angle, shot across the face of goal and wide from 15 yards out. Remember, if either of these teams win this game, they go through at Manchester United's expense. So this scoreline is good news for Manchester United for now. Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0.
Well, of course, it's a new format for next season. So this is the final set of matches to be played in the group stages. Match day 6, as it's known, as Kane's forward ball. Mazraoui's getting forward. Mazraoui with a cross, and again, Sane had made that run towards the near post. But that's what, 2-3 times now they're getting in on this right-hand side?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's Harry Kane coming to the ball. You know, a lot of debate around should Harry Kane play higher up, but he's more than a goal scorer. Wonderful pass from him on the half turn to slip Mazraoui in on that right-hand side. He's onside. And there's Leroy Sane in the middle, and the cross is just too heavy for him. Had Mazraoui been more accurate with the cross and just taken a little bit of weight off the cross, Bayern Munich would be a goal ahead. Warning signs, Manchester United.
So the final time on match day 6, only 4 places then are up for grabs as we go into tonight and tomorrow's action. And tomorrow night we're at St James's Park for Newcastle United against Milan, but like Manchester United, their destiny's also out of their own hands. So we'll have Group A settled tonight. Who'll go through with Bayern Munich, and also in Group C, who will go through with Real Madrid. And it looks like it's going to be Napoli, because they're leading at home to Sporting Braga by a goal to 0. Kimmich, Coman, right cross comes in, headed out by Varane, only as far as Davies, shot down into the ground, headed further away by Varane, the other 19, comes to Goretzka. Manchester United can't get the ball away. Ominous signs for Manchester United with the pressure from Bayern Munich in these opening 13 minutes. Kimmich from long distance, and Onana onto his knees with a save.
Well, I'll tell you what though, Varane with a couple of crucial headers, one from the right hand side initially. Harry Kane was lurking behind him, and then as the ball dropped to Alphonso Davies, he fires a shot and it skipped up off the surface. And Varane, right place, right time again, because Harry Kane would have had an easy finish from his perspective. And they're just pushing Manchester United back, aren't they, Bayern Munich?
Newport County now lead at Barnet 3-0, so it looks like they'll be at home to Eastleigh in the FA Cup third round. Bristol Rovers have got a second goal. Crewe 0, Bristol Rovers 2. They would be away to Norwich if they can hang on to that lead.
Easy.
No, it's never easy at Carrow Road, is it? Here is McTominay. Forward for Manchester United, right-hand side. Anthony tries to get away from Goretzka. Dives into the challenge. Retrieves it, scoops it away from the Manchester United player, and then Manchester United are awarded a throw on that right-hand side. 14 minutes played. Haven't really seen a great deal of Manchester United in a game that they have to win.
Another nutmeg from Anthony initially, but just want to see an end product from him. It's not about nutmegs, it's not about being a show pony. Cost a fortune, didn't he, Manchester United need more from him.
Well, Steve Bruce, who's in the studio in the build-up with Kelly about this game, was talking about last week against Chelsea. Probably Manchester United's best performance of the season. 28 shots they had in total. That's a lot that they've had for a long time, and they did look like they were at it. And then all of a sudden, they put in that shoddy display against Bournemouth, which you said at the time actually flattered Manchester United to lose 3-0.
Well, do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree with you. Just don't want to be negative.
And how do we read Manchester United beating a bang average Chelsea team as well?
Højlund up against Upamecano. Kept the ball in play, fell over. No foul, says the Norwegian referee. Kim will bring it away, the South Korean international. Alphonso Davies midway through his own half, back towards Kim. Little touch forward there to Kimmich, but he's still 6-7 yards outside the centre circle of his own half, as Bayern Munich in their black with the purple trim play from left to right as we look here on BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds, and we're also live on BBC Radio Manchester for exclusive commentary here at Old Trafford on the good old wireless of Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 0. Harry Kane being tracked by Amrabat. Upamecano goes back to Neuer.
They're just not brave enough, Manchester United, to press Bayern Munich really high up the pitch. They're retreating.
Jumping up and down in unison are the red and white supporters of Bayern Munich away towards our right hand side, creating all the noise. Goalless so far. Davis inside, Musiala just drops off, then he accelerates, pushes the ball out towards Sane, left corner of the penalty area, back towards Musiala. Harry Kane made the challenge and he tells Musiala to get up to his feet, as Musiala was caught there and he stayed down, and Manchester United are actually going to stop play to allow Musiala to be treated, as Scarborough are leading Forest Green by a 1-0 in that FA Cup first round tie. Now Forest Green fielded an ineligible player in a 5-2 win, so it's had to be replayed. Blackpool away await the winners in round 2, and then it's Forest in round 3, and Scarborough Athletic are 1-0 up in that first round tie. As have you had a chance to see that Maguire-Musiala incident?
Yes, I have. It's a ball left-hand side from Sane, popped into Musiala, who's just inside the box, and he takes a touch with the outside of his right boot. Harry Maguire really tight with him. There is contact, but there has to be sufficient contact. Musiala throws himself to the floor. I think he's tried to buy that. I think that's the correct decision not to award a penalty. There has to be sufficient contact. I think he's taken a dive there, Musiala.
Paul van Boekel, the Dutch official, is on VAR duties for this Champions League tie.
He must agree with me, Van Boekel.
Clearly. As Musiala, the one change from that Bayern Munich team that lost heavily against Eintracht Frankfurt, coming back into the side after a hamstring injury, as McTominay latches onto a back heel from Anthony, runs forward on the right hand side, back towards Anthony, he gets there too. Anthony tees up Bruno Fernandes, the referee almost got in the way, and Højlund couldn't turn, and the referee is getting berated by Bruno Fernandes, but he's got to be careful. He picked up a yellow card with dissent at the weekend that will rule him out of the Liverpool game this weekend. A yellow card tonight, and he'll miss the next game in European competition.
Well, he loves to blame everybody else, doesn't he, Bruno? Popped the ball through, actually. The referee's fine, and it's actually Upamecano and Kim. Højlund in a sandwich there. Nearly, though.
Let's get another update from Connor watching that Copenhagen Galatasaray game.
90 minutes played, Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0. The host started well, but it's been all Galatasaray for the last 10 minutes or so. Wilfried Zaha nearly played in, but his shot was smothered in the penalty area. It's Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0.
Earlier, Arsenal drew 1-1 away in the Netherlands. PSV 1, Arsenal 1. Arsenal, of course, and PSV had both already qualified. Lens beat Sevilla 2-1, so Lens go into the Europa League. This is BBC Radio 5 Live, the first of 2 successive nights of Champions League action. Tomorrow night, Newcastle United against Milan, where Newcastle have got to win and then hope that Paris Saint-Germain draw or lose at Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund, who need actually to avoid defeat to top the group, so they have something riding on it. Bayern Munich, well, they of course have already qualified as group winners from Group A, but they have some pride to restore after that demolition job that they suffered at the hands of Eintracht Frankfurt. 3-1 down at half-time, eventually losing 5-1. So Manchester United have got to win, but 20 minutes played, we haven't really seen Neuer tested so far.
Yeah, it's been an easy night for him so far. Look, I think Manchester United have to play with balance. I mean, eventually, if the scoreline stays like this, then have to throw greater caution to the wind, but no real great patterns of play at this moment in time. They look a little bit stuck, bereft of ideas, but here's Varane driving into the Bayern Munich half.
Slides a ball to the left of the penalty area for Højlund, who's got Upamecano pushing him from behind. Højlund showed his strength. We'll get a Manchester United throw about 6 yards up from the corner flag in front of the tunnel area, as we sit to the right of the director's box here at Old Trafford, camped together for a heavily congested press box, such as the illustrious nature of this fixture. 9 European Cups between them, Manchester United and Bayern Munich, as Kim cuts out the ball over the top for the run of Bruno Fernandes. Davies, with his pace, gets away from that challenge of Anthony. Now it's a ball to Musiala outside the centre circle. Got Traoré steaming on ahead of him into the inside right channel of the area. Coman to Kimmich. In comes the chip cross, aimed towards Musiala, and it will go. No, it won't go behind. It'll be kept in play by Leroy Sané, former Manchester City player.
What about the speed there from Alphonso Davies? Absolutely electric. He's alive. Wow, that burst down the left-hand side to start this Bayern Munich attack, but Dalot eventually defended the ball well at the far post for Manchester United.
Here is Upamecano. That's the voice of Chris Sutton on BBC Radio 5 Live, as Kim on the halfway line out to Davies, far side. Plays it back to Kim. Manchester United have every red shirt back behind the ball. Neuer comes out of his penalty area and just touches the ball forward then to Upamecano, and then Kane plays it out, which Dalot feeds it to McTominay. Little touch back by Bruno Fernandes. Amrabat towards Shaw, near side the left. Not quite the midway point of the Bayern half.
They're just so cautious, aren't they? Playing with a bit of fear, Manchester United, wanting to stay in the game rather than really take the game to the German juggernauts. Pick the moments, I think. That's the plan.
They were devoid of creativity against Bournemouth. They need some inspiration. Might come from Shaw, and he hit one from long range, left-footed. It was on the rise, and it's been fisted behind by Neuer.
Ooh, that was some strike, wasn't it, from Luke Shaw, as he 25 yards out, left-hand side of the box, gets his knee right over the ball, fizzes the ball straight at Neuer, who, because of the power of the shot, fists the ball over the bar.
Did give them a good balance to the team against Chelsea last week. It's Shaw with the outswinging corner kick, but Kim climbs to head it away. Fernandes plays it back out to Shaw, left-hand side level of the penalty area. Garnacho's made the run ahead of him, but there was Coman. Ooh, that was a...
Well, they're not happy, the Bayern Munich players, because Garnacho, actually, the ball's running out, and they have a steep bank there, don't they? And both players, Garnacho and Coman, go down the bank, and Garnacho has a little tug at Coman, and Harry Kane is the first to react, and it's all kicking off here a little bit. And I think Garnacho's a bit naughty there, I do. It's an unnecessary tug.
But he wasn't helped with the bank, as you say, and it is a rather sharp incline.
Well, you still don't have to tug somebody, do you?
But what also didn't help was the way that he went into he really did have he clattered into the back of the advertising hoarding.
And that's why Coman was angry. If I if I threw you into some advertising, Hoardings, you'd be angry, wouldn't you? If you want me to try at half-time.
I was going to say, the way you're going, I think you'd probably do that, wouldn't you? 0-0, 25 minutes played.
Ali Bruce ball, definitely.
Yeah, well, he's slightly smaller than I am. As Shaw on the half volley's cleared the ball away. And it goes out of play for a throw. The referee didn't take any action. Incidentally, Barnet have got a goal back and Forest Green have equalised. So in the FA Cup first round, it's now Scarborough Athletic 1, Forest Green 1. And Barnet 1, Newport County 3. Huddersfield have conceded a second. So Preston North End are now leading at Huddersfield Town by 2-0. And Blackburn Rovers have taken the lead also in the Championship against Bristol City 1-0. You're up to date. 5 Live final score is available, the iPlayer and also the red button, as well as the BBC Sport website. 26 minutes played, it remains 0-0, and it's also 0-0 Copenhagen and Galatasaray, crucially. As soon as one of those two sides was to take the lead, that's when Manchester United could be slipping out of the Champions League. Sane, midway through the Manchester United half. Running infield now. Return ball from Musiala. Sane, strong run. Sane going all the way, leaves it for Musiala. And then Musiala was crowded out, and it goes behind for a corner kick. But talk about the Reds' defence. It was like the Red Sea the way that it parted there for Sane to run in.
You're absolutely right. It's brilliant from Sane. Little give and go. Plays round the corner, runs the other side of Bruno Fernandes. And the Manchester United defence is wide open. And Sane drives beyond Amrabat. And it's Harry Maguire, actually, who gets to him when he's 6 or 7 yards out, tries to feed the ball off, and Manchester United somehow scramble the ball to safety.
Sane rolls the corner short, gets it back right hand side, now towards Musiala, floats over the cross, Kane lurking, goes over his head, and out of play it goes for a goal kick. Without necessarily stretching Onana, they have had 2 or 3 potentially awkward moments.
Yeah, let's get it right. They are the dominant side. They look the more likely side to score a goal. They have a belief in the way that they play. They've had combinations in the final third. Manchester United, very little, but this may be all part of Eric's plan.
Oh, you think there's a plan? Here is Onana.
Well, he said, we know what to do. That's what he said. Trust in Eric.
He also talks about that an apology first and foremost in his programme notes that they didn't meet the high standards of Manchester United in that disappointing defeat to Bournemouth here that we brought you on BBC Radio 5 Live. But at the minute they are struggling to create chances, but it's 0-0 as Shaw comes under pressure from Kingsley Coman. Back to Onana, who trundles his way and then passes it short forward to Harry Maguire. Bruno Fernandes gives it back towards Maguire.
So slow though, isn't it, the build-up play? Very, very passive, fearful start from Manchester United.
Pedestrian is another word to describe the pace from Manchester United. There's a long ball up towards Garnacho from Harry Maguire. He's easily dispossessed.
But that's where I feel sorry for Højlund, because he cuts an isolated figure.
As Kimmich comes under pressure, Manchester United go to press, and then as a result of that press, Bayern Munich are forced to push the ball out, and it goes out for a throw deep inside their own half. But we're approaching the half hour here. Manchester United 0, Bayern 0. They've been involved in quite a lot of high-scoring games in this Champions League campaign, but so far it remains 0-0. Incidentally, that goalless draw that Bayern had against Copenhagen was the only time that Bayern Munich have failed to score in that period of 39 Champions League group stage games undefeated. Crewe 0, Bristol Rovers 3 is the latest score in the FA Cup second round replay. With the quality that they have on show, Bayern Munich, you'd expect them to score here tonight. Here is Amrabat. Waits for the ball to come across his body. We're entering the 30th minute on 5 Live, BBC Sounds and Radio Manchester, and it's still 0-0. Oh, that was a late one. Sane just catching McTominay, and the Norwegian referee is quickly on the scene.
Yeah, it was a good pass from Bruno Fernandes, an incisive pass, pace on the ball into McTominay, who just picked a little bit of space in between Sane and Goretzka, and he is clattered, McTominay, by Sane, and I think this is within range, Ian.
Well, it certainly is, just under 30 yards out from goal. I know you're going to pick me up on that, you always do, but it's
32 yards, would you say?
No, it's definitely under 30, because I'm using the cut of the grass as 6 yards, so it's definitely under 30. But it's right of centre, and we've got Bruno Fernandes and Shaw who are standing over it. Dalot is also there.
Doesn't get pernickety, but that's over 30 yards.
It's not. Bruno Fernandes, right-footed, into the wall it goes, and it loops behind. Corner kick, 0-0, Chris Sutton.
Yeah, that was suited more from that position, that right-hand side level with the near post of Neuer. Suited more of a left footer, but Fernandes tried to catch Neuer out early there. Bit of innovation, maybe.
A boisterous Bayern bunch away towards our right-hand side. 0-0, BBC Radio 5 Live. And the corner was worked short and then rolled in and straight towards Harry Kane. Musiala now releases Kingsley Coman, and he's got Sane up with him, and Bayern on the counter-attack now. And Kingsley Coman kills a beautiful ball in. Sane can't take advantage. Musiala there. Varane gets the header away, and then Maguire heads it out towards Shaw, that is then dispossessed as Kingsley Coman gets it back for Bayern in front of the away end here at Old Trafford. Matsraoui comes forward, right corner of the area, pushed from behind by Garnacho. The referee doesn't indicate there was a foul. Kimmich with a cross, Maguire on the stretch, settles down towards Sane, and then Anthony did just enough to put him off.
Sane's had an absolute shocker. Bayern Munich should be in front. Brilliant ball from Coman to the far post. Sane, he's 4 yards out. If he heads it, he scores. Takes his eye off the ball, poor first touch, chance gone. And that chance came from a Manchester United corner. The centre-halves had gone forward. Poor cross from Bruno Fernandes, and Bayern break. Just seeing the opportunity again. It's a horrendous miss, it really is. From Leroy Sane. He's had a good season so far, but 4 yards out. And that's a gilt-edged opportunity. Go with your head there.
9 goals and 9 assists in his 21 appearances so far for Bayern Munich, as Neuer clears it long. Varane heads it out towards Shaw. Incidentally, and I didn't see it, I've been told by our BBC colleagues here that the Bayern fans have held up a banner saying £50 Glazers overkill, 20 is plenty. As they've been complaining about the ticket prices in the away end, and Simon Stone has also been reporting more anti-Glazer chanting tonight from the United fans. They'll have a common theme, I would imagine, regarding that. 12 minutes to go to half-time.
You hear the Manchester United fans wanting a handball, and the players surrounding the referee. It's a long ball, and Upamecano, Bruno Fernandes is behind him, gets the contact on the ball with his head. It does hit Kim on his right arm. I think he's just on the edge of his own box. It's not a deliberate act in any way. It's accidental, but we have seen, with the position of the arm, free kicks, penalties awarded for that, but not on this occasion.
Benfica, who are trying to salvage Europa League football for the new year, have taken the lead against Salzburg through the former Manchester United player Angel Di Maria. Salzburg 0, Benfica 1. That's in Group D of the Champions League. This is Group A. Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0. So as long as it stays like that, Manchester United know a win will see them through to the knockout stages of the Champions League. Half-time of the Championship at Vicarage Road. Aaron Paul.
Watford 1, Ipswich 1. Not a classic, but chances to both sides. The home side broke the deadlock through Yasser Asprilla, but George Hurst levelled things 12 minutes later to make it Watford 1, Ipswich 1 at the break.
Dalot, 10 yards inside the Munich half, and it runs away from Anthony and out for a throw. Another update then from Copenhagen. Connor.
Yes, just 11 minutes to go to the break. Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0. It is still the Turkish team who are on top. They're dominating possession. They're getting in around the Copenhagen penalty area, but they've not been able to score. As things stand, Copenhagen will be going through as runners-up to Bayern Munich. it would be Galatasaray who would get the Europa League spot, and Manchester United would be out of Europe. Obviously a long way to go, but that's how it stands at the moment. Copenhagen 0, Galatasaray 0 here.
Manchester United are now defending because Alphonso Davies has made great strides on that left-hand side to Musiala. Plays the ball back to Kimmich, less than 30 yards out from goal. Quite a central area for Bayern Munich. Now with Coman, right-hand side, 10 minutes to go to half-time. Tries to get away from Shaw. They've almost doubled up on Kingsley Coman. Back in Kimmich, Mazraoui shuffles the ball back inside. Manchester United have every red shirt back behind the ball as Kim along the ground finds Sane level with the penalty area on the left, looks to go on the outside, then on the inside, and then runs in field and still going. The return ball from Goretzka was blocked. Mazraoui though picks it up, finds Harry Kane, side onto goal, out towards Coman, teasing ball in towards Mazraoui, and Mazraoui got a little shove as well, and he had an awkward fall too down the bank as it goes and into the arms of Onana.
It's the cross on the right hand side, deflected into the arms of Onana, but Bayern Munich by far the better team in these opening 30-35 minutes. They are so dominant. Manchester United are just trying to hang on in there, and when they get an opportunity they're going to have to gobble it up. It's such a gulf between the two teams in the way that they play. Real belief with Bayern and their philosophy, the way they go forward.
Dalot hits a long ball along the ground towards Bruno Fernandes. Alphonso Davies will bring the ball away. Napoli have got a second goal at home to Braga, 2-0. And it's half-time at Walsall in one of those FA Cup second-round replays. Sane Rudravajula.
And it's Walsall 1, Alfreton Town 0 at the break. Jamil Matt's sliding effort 6 minutes in is the difference. The League Two side leading the non-league side at the break. 1-0 to Walsall.
We have got 7
Harry Maguire feeling his
minutes to go to half-time. Yes, he is.
Yeah, his groin
he knows.
Area. That's not good.
He knows. And in fact, just if you look along to your left now, almost parallel to this row that we're on, you can see Steve Holland and Gareth Southgate are in the director's box, just having a little chat between them. But Harry Maguire, who's done ever so well, this is his 14th successive start for Manchester United, but he knows that he's tweaked his groin there.
Johnny Evans warming up. Harry Kane, his England colleague, giving him a little pat on the head.
He himself has only just come back from injury. He's made a couple of substitute appearances after a 4-week layoff. But Johnny Evans warming up. But they just looked at a look of resignation, didn't there, from Harry Maguire, and like a nod to say.
Well, I mean, you know, as a former player, you have a good idea when you have a severe injury. As you say, the look on his face and the way he's clutching his groin region suggests that's not good news. And it wasn't like he seemed to be overstretching at all.
Well, Maguire is now back on his feet. He's hoping that he's able to continue. That was quite a lengthy stoppage. We'll get an update meanwhile at the Stadium of Light in the Championship. Sunderland leads, Rob Law.
Somehow it's still Sunderland 0, Leeds 0, like a game of cat and mouse here. Sunderland dominating early on, but growing into it as the game has progressed and twice gone close. Still 0-0.
Harry Maguire is yet to come back onto the field of play. Johnny Evans is walking up the steps back towards the substitutes bench here at Old Trafford. It remains 0-0, still goalless in Denmark between Copenhagen and Galatasaray. But it's a game that Manchester United have to win, otherwise they're out of Europe. It's as simple as that. Copenhagen, they've just got to avoid defeat. Galatasaray have got to go there and win, as Harry Maguire waits to come on.
He's still holding his groin area, isn't he? That's not a good look. He's plodding on now, isn't he?
Well, he is, and he's holding that left groin area, and the ball is passed towards him, and he's put the ball out of play, and he can't continue.
Why didn't they just take him off?
Well, to his credit, he probably wanted to give it a go, and then he realises that he can't. And Harry Maguire comes off and he'll be replaced by Johnny Evans. So Manchester United forced into a change here. Harry Maguire, who's battled his way back into first team contention, and acknowledges the terrific support that he's receiving from this Old Trafford crowd. But Maguire is off 5 minutes shy of half-time.
Yeah, that's a massive blow for Manchester United. There's a lot to be admired about Harry Maguire. His days look numbered, but the club under Eric Ten Hag kept his head down, worked hard, the right attitude. I think there are other players at Manchester United who could learn from Harry Maguire.
Yeah.
But that's a blow. It is. Their leader at the back off. Johnny Evans on, who's no spring chicken.
No, he's not, but you're only as young as you feel. Harry Maguire was actually given a standing ovation from the main stand as the Bayern supporters have held their red and white scarves held aloft above their heads away towards our right hand side. 4 minutes to go to half time.
Interesting, Johnny Evans has taken up the position as a right centre half, left footer. Varane still left centre half. Maybe we'll ask Steve Bruce about that at half time. I can't quite work that one out myself. Can you?
Well, actually, didn't Steve answer that with Kelly in the build-up to the game about his relationship with Gary Pallister?
Yeah, but they were both right-footers.
Yeah. Here is, if you want Kelly to ask him again, I'm sure she will. Here is Anthony, right-hand side, still 0-0. 3.5 minutes to go. Little dance over the ball by Anthony, and then when it comes back to him, he needed another leg to keep that ball in play. He'd bamboozled himself. Went straight out of play for a throw. Yeah. Kane hooks it on. 0-0. Manchester United haven't really created anything of note. Kane releases Coman. Shaw comes across, slides. Coman back to his feet, gets there. Shaw back goal side. Coman though shrugs him off. Back into the penalty area he goes. To Harry Kane, and then there was McTominay to Garnacho. Garnacho now running forward away from Mazraoui. Højlund, we've hardly mentioned Højlund. Garnacho still going. Garnacho enters the penalty area, and then uppercuts. Upamecano just comes across and snuffs out any threat. But Manchester United looks so one-dimensional.
Oh, absolutely. And it was a great driving run from Garnacho, from his own box all the way up the field into the other box, but there's no combination play, there's no link-up play. Poor old Højlund up there on his own, don't get players in and around him who pop the ball off him or get close enough to him. Garnacho very individual, so is Anthony. Well, Højlund must be wondering when are the opportunities going to come. But there's only one team trying to play football in this first half, and it's not the home team.
2 minutes to go to half-time. Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 0. In League One, Reading 0, Oxford United 1 is a latest score. It's the only game being played in League One tonight. Kim back to Neuer. That bouncing ball laid off into the path of Musiala by a leaping Sane. Now it's with Kimmich, who pings this. It zips across the surface to Coman. Shaw back pedals, Varane comes across, Harry Kane looking towards Musiala at the far post as Sane had actually come into a central area. There's movement from Bayern Munich. Manchester United in comparison just looks so predictable.
Well, Bayern Munich look like they've played together for a long time, and Manchester United look like they've been thrown together for the first time. That's the difference in this first half.
Bruno Fernandes now looks for Højlund, taken Upamecano with him. But there's only 2 red shirts who are getting up there, whilst Bayern Munich had 6 back.
Yeah, look, I think he can hold the ball up better, but it's not like he had a great deal of support. Not like Anthony was helping him out. Actually seemed to run away from the ball and hide.
Here is Kim at a walking pace as we enter the last 60 seconds of Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 0 on BBC Radio 5 Live, BBC Sounds and Radio Manchester. Back towards Neuer. Thomas Tuchel, who during his 18-month spell at Chelsea. Every game against Manchester United was a draw. But
do you think he plays for draws against Manchester United?
Garnacho slips. Harry Kane midway through his own half, forward to Mazraoui. Firm challenge by Shaw, picked up by Fernandes, looks over the top towards Højlund, but it was always going away from him, and Kim has marshalled the ball safely out of play for a throw. We're going to find out how much added on time there will be. Reading have equalised, incidentally. Reading 1, Oxford United 1. 3 minutes of stoppage time, which we are now into. Manchester United need to do a lot more, otherwise they're out of Europe.
Well, this, as I say, is maybe all part of the bigger plan. Stay in the game, first half. But they haven't laid a glove on Bayern Munich. Really disappointing this first half.
It's hardly a plan that will have the rest of the Champions League sides quaking in their boots. Davies makes good ground, pulls it back. Here is Sane, and his runners off the ball. He goes square towards Harry Kane. Fernandes with the sliding block challenge. Coman back towards Mazraoui. Infield now to Kimmich. Kimmich to Goretzka. Manchester United have every red shirt back behind the ball, and Bayern are in control.
Yeah, and look, some of the defending, last-ditch defending, has been very good from Manchester United, but you've got to carry a threat. You're exactly right. Other teams across Europe won't be quaking in the boots with this Manchester United team.
Is there an echo? Here is
just complimenting you, actually.
Goretzka out towards Davis, back with Goretzka midway through the Manchester United half. Kimmich once again, McTominay trotting towards him, passes the ball out. Davis is forward. We're in stoppage time here, and then it's offside. Flag has been raised. 0-0. It's going to have to be some second half on the evidence of what we've seen so far from Manchester United.
Well, the history of this club, attack, attack, attack. In this first half, we haven't even had one attack, have we, really? I mean, Neuer, I know he's not often troubled in the Bundesliga, but this must be one of the easiest halves of football he has ever played.
It is a shot-shy Manchester United team. Lowest scorers in their Premier League history for 31 years. The Champions League has offered the respite in that sense. The only trouble is they've conceded 14 goals at the other end in this Champions League campaign that really should have delivered so much more. But it remains 0-0 as Bruno Fernandes, the Manchester United captain, back to Evans, now deputising for the injured Harry Maguire. So that's Maguire, you'd think, out to the weekend for Liverpool, and also Bruno Fernandes through suspension as Darlow runs forward. Garnacho spins it out towards Shaw. Shaw can come forward. Shaw's the only one who's tested Neuer in goal with that long-range drive. As Harry Kane, a little bit off balance, gives it away. Manchester United player has gone down. Shaw to Garnacho. Garnacho left corner of the area. Fernandes is now getting slowly but surely back to his feet.
He's gone down so easily there, Bruno Fernandes. He's the boy who cries wolf, isn't he? He's claiming Harry Kane popped one on him there. He's back on his feet, surprise, surprise.
Well, there is the half-time whistle, and in a game that Manchester United have to win, they really have struggled to create any sort of menace to the Bayern goal. Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 0. The best effort from a Luke Shaw drive from distance, but Chris Sutton, it's Bayern Munich who've posed all the threat.
Yes, it is, and maybe, though, this is part of Eric's plan, but in an attacking sense, in this first half, Manchester United have been utter dross. They need to carry a greater threat in this second half, or they're not going anywhere.
Half-time at Old Trafford, Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 0.
Thank you very much to Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton at Old Trafford. We'll be back with them very shortly for the second half. Also with us, Steve Bruce and Statman Dave. Steve, as the guys have been saying in commentary, they need to do more in the second half, Manchester United. What did you make of the first half, though?
Well, they're still in the tie. They're clinging on by the skin of their teeth, of course, but they're still in the tie. Defensively, they've looked a little bit more assured than they were certainly at the weekend. And of course, they've got to show a bit in attack in the second half. But at least they've given themselves a platform. You know, they're not 1-2-0 down. Bayern haven't done much the other way either, have they really? Let's be brutally honest. They've arguably been the better team, but they have not really caused us really any problems just yet. So let's hope we can play better in the second half. Certainly in an attacking sense anyway. Defensively, though, they're much, much better. It's a big blow to them to lose Harry, of course. So let's hope we can see a little bit more of the attacking flair, what we're used to seeing in a Manchester United team.
Yeah, Harry Maguire going off with that injury could cause problems for Manchester United in the second half. Johnny Evans on to replace him alongside Raphael Varane. Is there anything in terms of the stats that could provide hope for Manchester United, Dave?
I think the big thing, as Steve mentioned, is the defensive organisation looks quite good. Raphael Varane's made more clearances than any other player on the pitch. But I think Joshua Kimmich is getting far too much space on the edge of the box. He completed the third most passes for Bayern Munich. And I think we know the quality of Kimmich. If you give him too much time, he will make something happen. There was a really good cross from the inside right position in that first half that could have been quite dangerous for Bayern Munich. So I think it's about building into the game, being a little bit more aggressive in the defensive third. We saw a few transitions at the end there that were some good positions for Alejandro Garnacho. So I think more of the same, really. But as Steve said, they're still in the game, which I think is a big thing, because there's other games this season in the Champions League where they've been far too open.
Manchester United have stayed in the game, but will they stay in Europe? They need to win their game, and they need to work out what happens in the match between Copenhagen and Galatasaray. Copenhagen will go through if they beat Galatasaray. Even if they draw and Manchester United fail to beat Bayern, Copenhagen will still go through. It's half-time in that game. Conor McNamara has been watching.
Well, in effect, it's the result that Manchester United want so far, because it's a draw as things stand. Copenhagen nil, Galatasaray nil, but it still requires Manchester United to do their part of the job. But if Manchester United could take the lead in the second half, and if this game stays as it is, then Manchester United's route through in the Champions League does still exist. But of course, this now is knockout football in Copenhagen, because if either of Copenhagen or Galatasaray wins the game, they go through as the group runners-up, and as things stand, it would be Copenhagen who would be going through behind Bayern Munich at the top of the group. It would be Galatasaray, as things stand, who would get third place of the group, and that means Europa League, and Manchester United would be going out of Europe altogether. But Copenhagen nil, Galatasaray nil for now.
Conor, thank you very much. If there is only one goal in the second half of these two games and it's scored by Manchester United, they will be the team going through to the knockout stages of the Champions League. Earlier on, Arsenal, who'd already won Group B with a game to spare, drew 1-1 with PSV Eindhoven, and they were already through as runners-up. So how are the other groups shaping up in this final round ever of group games? John Bennett's here with the latest. Hi, John.
Hi, Kelly. Let's start in Group C, where we've got a shootout for second place, and it's going Napoli's way. Napoli 2, Braga 0. So Napoli will be through in second place behind Real Madrid unless they lose by 2 goals or more. And they've done okay. They made a nervy start. Then they took the lead through a freak own goal. And then star man Victor Osimhen made it 2-0, his first goal in Europe this season. And it's a good advert for a night out, because last night he was at the CAF African Footballer of the Year Awards. Didn't get back to the team hotel until 3:30 a.m, but he still got on the score sheet. In the same group, listen to this scoreline. Union Berlin 1, Real Madrid 0. All the drama just before half-time. Luka Modric missed a penalty. Then minutes later, a mistake at the back by Real Madrid. Kevin Volland scored. Union Berlin, as it stands, would be into the Europa League. In Group D, there's a game which will decide top spot. Inter 0, Real Sociedad 0. Real Sociedad would take top spot with that scoreline. And finally, also in Group D, Europa League shootout. Salzburg 0, Benfica 2. So as it stands, Benfica taking third place. They'll be in the Europa League.
John, thank you very much for that. John Bennett keeping us up to date with all the ups and downs in the final round of group matches in the Champions League. We're at the key games in the Championship as well this evening. Ipswich could go top of the table if they beat Watford. Aaron Paul is watching that one for us. Aaron.
Kelly, underway for the second half. It is Watford 1, Ipswich 1. The Hornets breaking the deadlock through Yasser Asprilla. George Hurst levelling for Ipswich, and it's become quite a feisty affair. I mentioned in my preview that Ipswich had made 5 changes. Kieran McKenna had made 5 changes. He's brought one of his regular first teamers back in at half time. Harry Clark has replaced Brandon Williams on the right side of defence, but it's been a scrappy opening section this second half. In fact, temperatures just dropping as well, with rain absolutely petering down here in Hertfordshire. It is Watford 1, Ipswich 1. Ipswich, of course, could go to top tonight with a win.
Thank you very much for that, Aaron. Sunderland hosting Leeds. It's half-time at the Stadium of Light, and there for us, Rob Law.
Sunderland 0, Leeds 0. Sunderland have had to bide their time in this one, defending with pure determination at times. The art of a good sliding tackle on full display in the Wearside Rainers. Leeds have really struggled to break them down. The Black Cats have gone closest on 3 occasions. 2 headers for Joe Bellingham, one forcing a fingertip save from Melier when it looked destined for the back of the net, and a free kick teased in by Alex Pritchard which caused chaos in the Leeds box and was hacked away clear. Half time, Sunderland 0, Leeds 0.
Elsewhere in the Championship this evening, Blackburn are 2-0 up at home to Bristol City. It's Huddersfield 0, Preston 2, Rotherham 0, West Brom 0, Stoke 0, Swansea 0, and in League One, Reading 1, Oxford United 1. There are also FA Cup second round matches taking place this evening. In the replay between 6th tier Alfreton Town and League 2 side Walsall, Sani Rodravagula is watching.
Well, it's Walsall 1, Alfreton Town 0. Just 4 minutes into the second half as Alfreton win the second of 2 successive corners here for the away side, the National League North side. 42 places separate the two, and it's Jamil Matt's goal in the night that's done that as well. Sliding in from a cross-come shot from the left-hand side from Donovan Daniels, the centre-back and captain for the Saddlers. It's been really good, actually. Jamil Matt sliding it in to give the Saddlers the lead, and that's been it so far. Second half, Alfreton certainly looking brighter, but at so far 49 minutes on the clock. It's Walsall 1, Alfreton Town 0.
Sani, thank you very much. Elsewhere in the second round of the FA Cup, it's Barnet 1, Newport County 3, Crewe 0, Bristol Rovers 4, and Port Vale are 1-0 up at home to Stevenage with about 5 minutes gone in the second half of all those games. Second half still to come of Manchester United against Bayern Munich. Manchester United still in with a chance of qualifying for the knockout stages of the Champions League. They have to win their game though, and they are still in it. Second half coming up after the BBC News with Nick Hatfield.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Kelly. Good evening. The government has survived a crucial vote on its Rwanda legislation.
The ayes to the right, 313. The noes to the left, 269. So the ayes have it, unlocked.
The bill, which passed by 44 votes, is designed to prevent asylum seekers from launching legal challenges to their removal from the UK. MPs approved the bill at the second reading, but it will face further votes in the new year. Here's our deputy political editor, Vicky Young.
What Rishi Sunak will be looking at now is those threats from that group of MPs who said that they are not happy. They've abstained. They didn't vote against a lot of them at this point, but they still want changes. They want it to be more legally robust. They say that their lawyers have looked at it and they still think there's a big potential there for people who are threatened with deportation to Rwanda to appeal on an individual case by case, and that would then delay the flights and stop anyone going.
Chris Philp is a minister in the Home Office, and he says they'll continue to listen to Conservative MPs who have concerns.
Government ministers will be talking to members of Parliament to see if there are ways of tightening this even further, to improve the drafting, to make sure there are absolutely no loopholes at all, to make sure the courts can't unpick this. And if there are constructive, good ideas to improve this bill any further, then ministers will listen to those in a respectful, open and constructive way. That's how good legislation should work. But for tonight, we're pleased to have passed the strongest ever piece of immigration legislation.
Elsewhere tonight, President Biden has told the Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky that the United States will stand by his country. President Zelensky is visiting Washington as Congress blocks a $60 billion package of military aid for Ukraine. An investigation has started into the death of an asylum seeker on board the Bibby Stockholm accommodation barge in Dorset. It's believed the man took his own life. South Wales police have named 3 young men who died in a crash involving a bus and a car in the village of Codeely last night. They were Jesse Owen and Morgan Smith, who were both 18, and Callum Griffiths, who was 19. And on the final day of the UN's climate conference in Dubai, delegates from almost 200 countries are trying to come to a final agreement. An earlier draft was strongly criticised after it failed to call for the phasing out of fossil fuels.
This is 5 Live Sport with Kelly Cates on 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Hello, coming up, there's second half commentary of Manchester United against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. No goals as yet. Tomorrow, 5 Live Sport and BBC Sounds is the place to hear Newcastle's crucial game against AC Milan in Group F. Eddie Howe's team must beat their opponents at St James's Park and hope that Paris Saint-Germain do not beat already qualified Borussia Dortmund. Steve Bruce and Statman Dave are here with us. I mean, again, Steve, it's very similar to tonight's match for Manchester United. Newcastle have to win and hope the other result goes their way. I mean, does it almost help Newcastle's focus just to know that they need to win their game?
Well, all you can focus is on that one, really. They've got to do their job. And I feel for Newcastle at the minute because just at the wrong time, they've picked up, I don't know what it is, but they seems to have picked up injury after injury. And when you're playing the same outfield 10 for the last 4 or 5 games, unfortunately, it looks as if it's just caught up with them a little bit. Let's hope they've got a little few back. I've seen Longstaff and Wilson at the weekend appear, which will give them a little bit of energy. It'll be a big, huge atmosphere, and it'll be a really, really fantastic atmosphere at St James's Park tomorrow night. And
Callum Wilson has been talking about that, saying that they're going to leave the field with absolutely no regrets. And if they are able, or if Eddie Howe is finally able to make a change to that starting lineup, then it might just bring that bit of freshness and energy that they need.
Well, of course, they know they're going to get a bit of energy from the support, that's for sure. I mean, they've waited so long for these big nights, and you know they've waited 20 odd years to have a night like this, playing against a really great big team in Milan. So let's hope they can pull it off, and hopefully, as we've said, a few of them can give them a bit of freshness, which obviously they've lacked in the last couple of weeks or so.
I mean, Steve mentions the support there and the atmosphere that's created by the fans at St James's Park. Sometimes, you know, players talk about that and it's not really borne out by results. In Newcastle's case, Statman Dave, it is exactly that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's a big one. You know, take you back to the 4-1 win against PSG. Absolutely brilliant performance. Fabian Schär and Dan Burn coming off the pitch with more goals than Kylian Mbappe, something that I didn't think I'd ever say on the radio. But the performance was sublime. The energy that the crowd can give you sometimes, it's so apparent with Newcastle in the Premier League and in the Champions League. But it's a massive game against Milan. And obviously, we can't treat Milan as a team that don't know what they're doing. Obviously, they won Serie A recently. They've been reasonably decent in Europe over the last few seasons, the semi-final last year. So it's going to be a really difficult test. And, you know, kind of just to talk about the injuries, 11 injuries at the moment for Newcastle. And a lot of really big players, the likes of Nick Pope, Dan Burns, Sven Botman, Harvey Barnes out at the moment as well. These are players that could really give good depth and impact at, you know, starting and coming off the bench. It's going to be a really tough test.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough for Newcastle, but you'll be able to listen to all the drama as it unfolds here on 5 Live Sport. Manchester City, no drama for them. They've already qualified. They face Red Star Belgrade tomorrow, and there's updates of that right here on 5 Live Sport. We'll also have updates of Celtic against Feyenoord as well. In other sport headlines this evening, the president of the Turkish side, Ankara Gorcu, has been arrested after punching a referee. Farouk Koja ran onto the pitch after his team conceded a 97th minute equaliser on Sunday. The 4th round of the Women's FA Cup draw has been made. Holders Chelsea are at home to West Ham. Last season's runners-up Manchester United face Newcastle, and Arsenal host Watford. Full details of the draw are available on the BBC Sport website and app. And the BBC Sports Personality of the Year nominations have been announced. Stuart Broad, Frankie Dettori, Mary Earps, Alfie Hewitt, Katarina Johnson-Thompson and Rory McIlroy make up the list. Votes can be cast by phone or online on the evening of Tuesday the 19th of December. The number to call for each contender will be revealed during the programme. And remember, you can listen to this evening's commentary of Manchester United against Bayern Munich with all the final score graphics, so you can keep across all the goals that they go in across the EFL and the FA Cup second round. And you can watch the video printer along with that as well tonight. Just press the red button for that or go to the BBC iPlayer or the BBC Sport app. You'll be able to click on 5 Live Final Score. You get all the information and all the commentary from our team at Old Trafford for Manchester United against Bayern Munich, Chris Sutton and Ian Dennis.
Thank you, Kelly. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to be coming on for Manchester United, and Konrad Laimer is going to be coming on as well for Bayern Munich. So, what are you chuckling at?
Wow, Gareth Southgate has just waved at you and you just blanked him.
I didn't see him wave at me. I don't even believe that he did wave at me.
He did. Oh, I can't believe that.
Right. Well, I was...
Wow. That'll be you banished now. You can't do that.
Listen, I was watching the substitutions to see who was coming off. So...
I've never seen you go red before.
Mazraoui has gone off. Konrad Laimer has come on. He's played there before. He's an Austrian international. He can play either as a right back or as a defensive midfielder. And then the other change is Luke Shaw, who's gone off. So Dalot will switch to left back and Wan-Bissaka comes on at right back. So they'll hope that from a Luke Shaw point of view that is not an injury ahead of the trip to Liverpool at the weekend, which incidentally you'll be able to listen to on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. But the second half is underway. It's Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 0, and it remains goalless in Copenhagen. But Bayern Munich have been by far the better of the two teams. As Sané runs forward, looks towards Harry Kane, goes in front of him and out for a throw to Manchester United.
Yeah, and you've got to feel for Erik Ten Hag. No Luke Shaw coming out for this second half. You mentioned it in the first half. They have a better balance on that left-hand side with Shaw. Dalot has gone over from right back, but he's a right-footed left back. And the change for Bayern Munich. Laimer slotting in at right back instead of Mazraoui. He has played in that position this season, Laimer, but of course he's a midfielder as well. That's a problem area for Bayern Munich, that right back position this season.
If you are listening to BBC Radio 5 Live tonight and 5 Live final score, so you're listening and watching to either the red button, the iPlayer, or indeed the BBC Sport website or app, you will have seen these scores go through, but if not, I'll still give them to you. Blackburn 2, Bristol City 0, Crewe 0, Bristol Rovers 4. As Anthony, sent scampering away, enters the penalty area. Kim, though, dealt with a danger, slides across, and it goes out for a goal kick off Anthony. Huddersfield have got a goal back in the Championship. Huddersfield 1, Preston North End 2, Rotherham 0, West Bromwich Albion 1. In that FA Cup first round tie, Forest Green have come from behind and now lead away at Scarborough Athletic 2-1. Port Vale 2, Stevenage 0, and in fact Bristol City have got a goal back in the Championship. Blackburn Rovers 2, Bristol City 1. So I'll run through the two teams for you, with Manchester United, red shirts, white shorts and white socks in this second half, defending the Stretford end, playing from left to right, with Onana in goal. Dalot now at left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back. Varane and Evans are the two central defenders. Maguire left the field in the first half with a groin injury. In the midfield, it's Amrabat, McTominay and Fernandes, and a front three of Anthony, Højlund and Garnacho. Bayern Munich in their all-black with the purple trim. Neuer in goal. Back four now of Laimer, Upamecano, Kim and Davies, Kimmich and Goretzka, Coman, Musiala and Sané and Harry Kane up front. I wouldn't expect Musiala to see out the full 90, bearing in mind he's easing his way back in after a hamstring injury. He said yesterday in the press conference that the manager will manage his minutes and his game time tonight. But Manchester United have got to win. As it is, it's Copenhagen who are going through with the German champions from Group A. It's the Champions League. It's live on 5 Live, BBC Sounds and Radio Manchester, taking our commentary as Evans now back towards Varane. 0-0, Chris Sutton.
Yeah, greater intent at the start of this second half from Manchester United. Thought they were too passive in the first half. I reckon Erik Ten Hag would have got into the team at half-time. If you're going to go down swinging.
Wan-Bissaka makes the run of Anthony, pulls it back. Fernandes! Skied it, edge of the area, couldn't keep it down right-footed. That would be a conversion in rugby union, but it was high and way over the bar, and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, but good intent from Manchester United. There's Anthony on the right touchline, an underlap from Wan-Bissaka, who gets to the byline. He's often criticised for his final ball, but has a little look and feeds Fernandes, who's allowed to come onto that because of the pace of the ball, is allowed to come onto that first time, and for a player of his quality, that's a poor miss.
Musiala holds off Evans, plays it forward. Sané left-hand side, looks up, crosses, swept to safety by Varane. Harry Kane was waiting 8 yards out from goal. But Manchester United will certainly be encouraged by the fact that they've got round the back of this Bayern defence, because by and large they played in front of Bayern Munich in that first half. 4 minutes into the second half and it remains 0-0. The Bayern supporters still making the noise away towards our right hand side. There is a section of Manchester United fans that have been singing as well, right next to the German supporters, trying to do their bit. But Manchester United at the minute haven't tested Neuer. That must surely serve as a huge disappointment to Erik ten Hag.
Well, look, the bottom line is as bad as they were in an attacking sense in the first half, in a game they need to win at all square at this moment in time, and they have to be braver in this second half. I'm sure they will be braver once they get to the stage where they feel they have nothing to lose. Just go for it.
Conor McNamara is watching that game in Denmark, in Copenhagen. Copenhagen against Galatasaray 0-0. If there is a change, he'll let us know. Earlier, Arsenal finished 1-1 against PSV Eindhoven. Union Berlin are leading against Real Madrid by a goal to nil in Group C. Preston have just got a third at Huddersfield. Huddersfield 1, Preston North End 3. Preston 4 without a win before tonight in the Championship, as Johnny Evans over the halfway line comes forward for Manchester United. Musiala runs towards him. Forward ball to Wan-Bissaka, went away from him, the Canadian international.
I find it really odd, Evans playing as the right centre half when he's a left footer, and Varane playing as a left centre half and he's a right footer. Totally uncomfortable there, Johnny Evans driving into the Bayern Munich half with that ball and gave it away.
Harry Kane's just given it away, but then he helps win it back. But as he slides into the challenge, it goes straight to Wan-Bissaka. Varane feeds it to his left. Fernandes forward to McTominay. Wan-Bissaka's crying out for the ball on this near side, the right. There does appear to be more urgency from Manchester United, and the crowd now are responding to Manchester United, just starting to increase the tempo. As McTominay feeds it, Garnacho, first time cross from the left, cut out very, very well by Kim. I saw him first time in the flesh in Naples last year when they beat Liverpool handsomely in the Champions League. Kim impressed then, and that was very alert defending, as now Musiala tried to release Sane, and the game all of a sudden has just picked up a fraction. 7 minutes into the second half, 0-0.
Yeah, Manchester United just coming to life, really. Good play down the left-hand side, early cross from Garnacho. Manchester United finally playing with a purpose. They're going to have to go toe-to-toe with Bayern Munich. They want to win this game. They're going to have to take risks. Actually, you're right, Kim's defending at that near post. Top draw, Anthony was behind him.
Crew 1, Bristol Rovers 4 is a latest score in the FA Cup, and Stoke City, who sacked Alex Neil on Sunday, they've lost their last 4, are leading Swansea City by a goal to nil. Anthony's just been shown a yellow card.
Yes, he has. He's a box of tricks. That's one way of looking at him. Or you can. Some people look at him as a show pony there, and he's actually trying a little drag back on Alphonso Davies, who takes the ball off him and then tries to get his body in across him, and he ends up, studs up, and Alphonso Davies' ankle, gets a yellow card for it. It's a clumsy challenge.
Back it goes to Neuer. Kim, Musiala, Johnny Evans going very, very tight behind him and following him almost midway through the Bayern half. Runs out of play for a throw that Wan-Bissaka will take. Amrabat takes it into the gut region, brings it under control, back with towards Varane. Thomas Tuchel waving his right arm now. Listen to the United support. Great vocal backing from inside Old Trafford. Evans looks for a ball over the top for the run of Fernandes. Upamecano's header will go out of play. No, Davies kept it inside. As Kimmich comes under pressure from Fernandes. Fernandes with a shot! It was always going away from goal as Neuer dived away full length to his right-hand side. Goal kick, but Manchester United showing a little bit more courage, pressing higher up the pitch and almost getting their rewards.
Yeah, got a fire in the belly in this second half. With the crowd up behind them. Good pressing from Højlund initially. Heavy touch from Kimmich. Near the edge of his own box, and Fernandes had options either side but elected to shoot. He's not far away. Just pulls the ball past Neuer's right-hand post.
Kim, Manchester United are now pressing higher up. Anthony saying to McTominay, let's try and pin Alphonso Davies in, and his ball has been given away to Johnny Evans. Again, following Musiala quite high up. Varane is exposed at the minute as Darlow is having to cover with Harry Kane, who's just trying to drop off onto Darlow on that far side, as the Norwegian referee, Espen Eskhaus, gives a free kick in favour of Bayern Munich for Amrabat, just catching Musiala, but it remains 0-0, 10 minutes into the second half. The scenario is there still for Manchester United to do this.
Well, absolutely. You know, before the game it was about just win, however you do it. Well, they have been far more aggressive at the start of this second half, being much braver with the press. Still are pressing, but of course that has its dangers with Bayern Munich and the way that they can counter. Yeah, fearless Bayern Munich.
Hold on, Copenhagen. There's been a goal, Conor McNamara.
Not good news for Manchester United. Copenhagen have taken the lead. Leraher has scored just before the hour mark. A nice flowing move into the penalty area on the left-hand side. And he was on hand, having been involved in the build-up, to apply the finishing touch from close range. So Galatasaray behind, Copenhagen in front, and that means, as things stand, Bayern and Copenhagen go through to the last 16. Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0 for now.
Copenhagen just had to avoid defeat, so Galatasaray now need 2 goals in Denmark because they have to win. Manchester United have to win to be in Europe, even if it is the backdoor route that takes them to the Europa League. If they don't win, there's no European football to look forward to for the first half of 2024, and they will just become the 4th Premier League side to have finished bottom of their group. Manchester United have done it before in 05-06, Manchester City in 12-13, but Blackburn Rovers were the first in 95-96. If only there was somebody close by we could ask about that. Chris.
Always a negative with you.
Alphonso Davies, left-hand side, away from Anthony, and his ball towards Sane is met by Johnny Evans to McTominay. Fernandes on the edge of his own penalty area to Dalot, now playing at left back, up towards Garnacho. Can't get the better of Lima, now playing as a right back, the substitute. As Erik Ten Hag just said, all we've got to do is just focus on ourselves.
Surely that's an area. Zanana gets away with one. Harry Kane putting him under pressure. But surely the game plan has to be get the ball out to Garnacho on that left-hand side. Match up with Lima, central midfielder by trade. Exploit him and his vulnerability in that area.
13 minutes into the second half, it remains 0-0. Lima on the outside of Garnacho. Garnacho dives into the challenge, retrieves it well. Then he slips as Kimmich comes across to cover and now finds Goretzka. And Goretzka takes it to Musiala. It bobbles a little bit for Musiala, but he's in full flight. And Musiala's still going. He's got Sane ahead of him and he couldn't take it in his stride, and it runs out for a goal kick. 0-0.
Such an intricate pass in the end from Musiala. Sane makes the forward run. He's unlucky, just can't quite get the touch. Leroy Sane puts the burners on, runs beyond Wan-Bissaka. Tight little pass. That would have been a golden opportunity. Such a clever player, Musiala, but just heavy with the pass.
You must have hoped to have done better than you did against Spartak Moscow, Rosenborg and Legia Warsaw.
There was a brawl in that game.
Yes, I remember. Here is McTominay. McTominay gets it out from underneath his feet and then tried to guide it out towards Garnacho in the inside left channel of the penalty area. It was a good 4 yards ahead of him, out of play for a goal kick.
No, it's good play from Anthony on that right-hand side, chopping inside on his favoured left foot, picks out McTominay in space 25 yards out. It's a really poor first touch from Scott McTominay, clumsy touch, and then he's heavy as he tries to retrieve the ball. Frustration from Erik ten Hag in his technical area.
Salzburg 1, Benfica 2 is the latest score in Group D. Wouldn't be enough for Benfica to enter the Europa League. As it stands, Manchester United are going out of Europe altogether as we approach the hour mark here on BBC Radio 5 Live, because Copenhagen are leading 1-0 against Galatasaray. Tomorrow night, Newcastle United at St James's Park. John Murray and Chris Waddle, the commentary team for Newcastle against Milan. St James's will be absolutely bouncing. Newcastle United, though, like Manchester United, need to win and then hope for a favour elsewhere as Borussia Dortmund entertain Paris Saint-Germain. Crewe staging a bit of a fight back. Crewe 2, Bristol Rovers 4 in the FA Cup second round replay. German voices you can hear, but it's 0-0.
Yeah, big incentive for Crewe. Just Carrow Road.
The incentive for Manchester United was to win this game tonight, but as it is, they're drawing a blank. Goretzka, space to run into midway through his own half, tracked by Fernandes, turns, Kimmich finds Musiala. Musiala with his pace is away from Amrabat, who just brings him down cynically. Yellow card for Amrabat. No attempt to play the ball. He was lost by the sheer pace of Musiala.
Yeah, it's Goretzka into Kimmich. Those two holding midfielders for Bayern Munich. Kimmich into Musiala, who turns Amrabat, gets beyond him, and that within the game is known as a good foul, because he was onto the Manchester United back four. Amrabat knows exactly what he's doing there, brings him down.
Just wonder as well if Gareth Southgate and Steve Holland are thinking if only he still could play for England, the former England youth international. Born in Stuttgart, moved to England at the age of 7, was in the academies of Southampton and Chelsea, but now has established himself as a firm German international. Jamal Musiala, but he's still only 20 years of age, and yet this is his 141st appearance for Bayern Munich, as Kimmich almost sold Upamecano short as he laid it off under pressure. Evans climbs high to head the ball away. You look poised to say something.
I mean, you could maybe ask Gareth if he's still speaking to you.
Here is Musiala. Musiala, central area. Out it goes towards Lima. Lima pulls it back. Harry Kane. Kimmich arriving, and he's tried to place that just outside the D, right-footed. Into the Stretford end it goes. It remains goalless. 62 minutes played. Chris Sutton.
I've got to say, for two of Europe's giant teams, that the finishing tonight has been really poor. It's a lovely little layoff from Harry Kane on the edge of the Manchester United box. It allows Joshua Kimmich to address the ball first time. He's trying to bend it into Onana's top corner, but ends up bending it way over the bar.
Onana hits an early ball. Distribution. Højlund is there. Neuer out of his penalty area, takes it high on the chest and then puts it out of play for a throw. Good vision by Onana.
Well, it was a wonderful long ball. It's actually Edison-like. Great distance and accuracy, and Højlund actually wasn't far away. Neuer burst out of his goal. Very switched on he was, took the ball on his chest and then shanked it off his right shin into the stand.
Probably one of the few things that Neuer's had to do, with the exception of that sure pile driver in the first half. Union Berlin 1, Real Madrid 1. So Real Madrid have equalised, and Newport have got a fourth in the FA Cup at Barnet. Barnet 1, Newport County 4. Latest score, 63 minutes played. Here is Kim. Galatasaray behind in Denmark, so Copenhagen, even with a draw, would be going through with Bayern as it stands. Here is Kimmich, runs forward over the halfway line. Amrabat goes towards him. Davies back with Kimmich once again, short and square, gets it back from Goretzka, forward ball to Musiala. Amrabat breaks up the move. Amrabat now plays it out towards Dalot at left back, but Manchester United have gone back into ponderous mode.
He's not got a great range of passing, Amrabat. He's a player, great athlete, breaks the play up, but when he gets on the ball in that quarterback role, you never see him spray a 40-yard pass. And he's too slow and ponderous. And those first passes really need to be quick and incisive, so the likes of Fernandes and McTominay can get on the half turn and feed balls into the forwards, but it's all too slow.
Goal at Vicarage Road, Aaron Paul.
Huge goal for Ipswich, and this is a bit of fortune. Watford 1, Ipswich 2. Sam Morsey 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper after taking advantage of some slack defending, and he just buried it calmly past Ben Hamer. A captain's goal from Morsey, and you know what? They've been second best all through this second half. Ipswich, they are very, very lucky, but it is Watford 1, Ipswich 2, 10 to go.
And it's a result that would take them top of the championship table with a fourth successive win. They'd be 2 points clear of Leicester City. Here is Musiala. Forward ball, Kane lays it off. Kimmich looking for Coman and sliding across. All in yellow is Onana. 65 minutes played. It remains 0-0. Manchester United have to win this game. Garnacho finds his captain, Bruno Fernandes, over the halfway line. He runs forward now. Red shirts, white shorts, playing from left to right. Garnacho now again on that far side, the left. They've doubled up on Garnacho. Goes away from Fernandes. Gets a foot into the challenge. Lifts it into the air. Brought under control by Dalot. Now with Varane. Evans, right at the centre circle. Back with Varane. Here is Bruno Fernandes edging his way midway through the Bayern Munich half. Back with Varane once more. His ball goes straight to Upamecano and it's cleared away.
Yeah, when Bayern Munich, they set up in their shape defensively with the back four, five across the middle. Harry Kane up top. Difficult for Manchester United to break down, but not the quickness of passing United need.
Thomas Müller actually exchange a quick handshake with Erik ten Hag as he's going to be coming on. And I did say that it would be some surprise for Musiala to last the full 90. He's had a run out of 66 minutes. Musiala is coming off, and Thomas Müller is coming on, who he might not necessarily score the same level of goals that he used to do, but he is still a terrific player. 126 caps for Germany, and this is his 683rd appearance for Bayern Munich. He is second on their all-time list behind the legendary goalkeeper Sepp Maier. Is it still 1-0 to Copenhagen? Conor McNamara.
It is. Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0. Very straightforward knockout football here. Win this game, doesn't matter what happens at Old Trafford. And at the moment, Copenhagen are in front. They've brought on Cornelius as well. Fresh legs on into their attack. Ziyech has come on. Dries Mertens as well for Galatasaray, who need 2 goals now. They've got to throw everything at it. Quarter of a game to go. Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0.
Galatasaray, though, at the moment would be going into the Europa League. Manchester United would finish bottom. Lima, the Austrian international, holds off Fernandes, runs forward, far side, plays it back, laid in field to Harry Kane. Harry Kane looks up and spreads play out towards Sane, controls it and stands on the ball, which allows Wan-Bissaka to play it ahead of him to Anthony. His back pass to Onana, thought about the clearance first time, and then his touch took him a little bit further wide as it goes out of play for a throw, and it's Bayern Munich who'll take that throw quickly. We're midway through the second half. Port Vale 2, Stevenage 1 is a latest score in an FA Cup second round replay. So Stevenage have a goal back, and Forest Green have got a third goal in their FA Cup first round tie at Scarborough Athletic. Scarborough 1, Forest Green 3. Harry Kane for Bayern Munich. Out to Kingsley Coman. Plays it back to Lima. Every outfield player now is in the half away towards our left-hand side. And after that early flurry from Manchester United, where they started with a little bit more urgency in the second half, they've just dropped back a little bit more.
Yeah, then the Germans wrestling back, control of the game. And you're looking at Manchester United's bench. Who are the game changers? Rashford, of course, this evening. Pelistri, but that's quite bare, the bench, isn't it?
It is extremely bare. The options limited for Erik ten Hag as Kimmich picks up this ball from Kim, the central defender. Upamecano steps out of defence, able to find Müller 10 yards forward of the centre circle. Sane has drifted into that central area, now out towards the right, comes back centrally once again. Goretzka joining the attack now. He passes the ball out wide where Sane would be, but it's Muller who now picks it up, links up with Goretzka, and it goes out of play for a Bayern throw. But Manchester United just don't look like scoring.
Well, they don't. They haven't got that confidence and that belief, that understanding. I think that's been apparent sort of for most of the season. They need to find it, though. Those last 20 minutes, somehow, will it be a moment of individual brilliance, but they have to still believe.
Coleman looking to try and get the return ball from Muller, and then he actually wins it back when the cause looked lost. Goretzka digs it forward. Harry Kane plays it through. Here is Coleman, steadies himself and scores. And Bayern Munich get the goal that their play thoroughly deserves. And that could well be the knockout blow for Manchester United. Not just in the Champions League, but also out of Europe altogether. Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 1.
And Harry Kane is not just a goal scorer, we know that. What a touch, what a piece of awareness for him to release Kingsley Coman, who drifts into the box. Wan-Bissaka, the Manchester United right back, is playing him onside and is able to take a touch, compose himself and pop the ball past Onana in the Manchester United goal. It's a wonderful touch outside of the right boot from Harry Kane. Coman takes one touch, has a little look. Manchester United defenders not close enough to him, and just slots the ball past Onana into the far corner. Manchester United, it's been a sorry season so far, and things look like they're getting worse.
He gave Onana no chance. I mean, there were two things there. One about the fact that initially Coman lost the ball, but his sheer levels of desire helped win the ball back to set up the move. And then, as you say, the way it was just carved forward by Harry Kane, which I think is his ninth assist for Bayern Munich to add to his 22 goals.
He's got eyes in the back of his head, hasn't he? Brilliant goal scorer, but he's such a good link man, such a good team player. There's a combination. We haven't seen any of that at the other end with Manchester United's forwards. You can imagine Manchester United fans inside the stadium tonight thinking, blimey, could we not have got Harry Kane?
Well, they were linked with him very, very heavily in the past. 280 goals, of course, he scored in his 435 appearances. We know how prolific he is for England in his 89 caps as the ball goes long and Dalla brings it in control and then slides into Neuer and just catches Neuer actually on his right knee. And he'll be all right though, Neuer.
I've got to say, Onana, what a brilliant long ball as well. The timing of the run from Dallo is superb from left back. It's quite a high Bayern Munich line, but his first touch is just too heavy, and Neuer comes out, reads the situation. Dallo on the stretch, entitled to go for it. And Neuer makes a bit of a meal of it. We've seen that before, haven't we? Manuel making a meal of things.
Swansea City have got an equaliser at Stoke City, and West Bromwich Albion have got a second goal at Rotherham United. Rotherham, 8 without a win, have now fallen 2-0 behind at home to West Bromwich Albion. It's Bayern Munich's fans who are celebrating away towards our right-hand side. But I don't know whether George is trying to get me into trouble with you, but he's just saying, how bad is it for you? George is our producer, by the way, if you're listening and wondering. But he says, how bad is it for United to have 4 points as it stands in this group from 6 games? That's bad, isn't it? Now, I'm sure that George has read my notes that Blackburn only got 4 points in 95-96. He's poking the bear. He's being negative.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. We don't have to look that. We shouldn't look that far back. And when you look at the Manchester United spend as well, and you take all these things into account. Oh, it's been desperately poor, hasn't it? But here come the changes.
Yeah, of course, Blackburn didn't spend any money back in the day, did they? It's a triple change that is going to be made. Hannibal's going to be coming on. Palestri's coming on. Anthony looks disgusted with himself. He kicks the ground in disgust. Garnacho's coming off. So Manchester United bringing Hannibal on. and Palestri. But it looks forlorn now for Manchester United. I mean, is that almost with a view to Liverpool at the weekend, taking Anthony off? How much did they pay for Anthony? £82 million from Ajax.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored now in his last 26 games.
I don't know if they're looking forward to the Liverpool game. I mean, resting Anthony at this stage, he just hasn't been good enough. Where's the end product? It's okay throwing step overs and Cruyff turns, Maradona twirls, but you've actually got to create something.
Real Madrid, hold on, here is Muller. Muller now looking towards Harry Kane, takes a deflection, will reach the England captain to Goretzka. Goretzka passed it to Kimmich, Alphonso Davies. I've got to say, it's a deserved scoreline for Bayern Munich, who've been thoroughly the better of the two teams. Real Madrid then have come from behind in Germany. Union Berlin 1, Real Madrid 2. Bayern Munich here lead by a goal to nil. They're going to go 40 group stage games in the Champions League. In fact, they'll finish this format winning 36 and drawing 4 as it stands, and only failing to score once in those entire time over 6 years since they were beaten by Paris Saint-Germain in September 2017. So Manchester United, in the game that they have to win, are behind, and in many ways Copenhagen Galatasaray, it'll be not Turkish delight but Danish delight. Conor McNamara.
Yes, still Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0, and Copenhagen on the verge of the last 16 of the Champions League. For the first time in 13 years, and for only the second time ever. Leraher's goal separating them. They're playing well too. Galatasaray looking a bit ragged as they just try to launch the ball repeatedly into the Copenhagen penalty area. Proper knockout football vibe, but 12 minutes to go. Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0.
Thank you, Conor. And Matthijs Tel is the youngster who's come on, and it's the goal scorer Kingsley Coman who has gone off. Matthijs Tel, who got the winning goal when these two sides met on match day 1. That was, of course, when Manchester United still had hopes, despite that opening setback, of progressing out of a group with Galatasaray and Copenhagen. But they threw away leads, costly leads. Looking back, twice they'd taken the lead at Galatasaray before losing here 3-2. They were 2-0 up and 3-2 up away to Copenhagen, and then 2-0 up and 3-1 up in Istanbul. Only have themselves to blame. There's been an opening goal on Wearside. Rob Law.
Breakthrough at the Stadium of Light. Joe Bellingham heading in a loose ball inside the penalty area. They deserve that for the chances they've had this evening. It's Sunderland 1, Leeds 0.
So on the night when Real Madrid are playing, there is still a Bellingham on the score sheet. Joselu got both the goals for Real Madrid. Harry Kane is just down, just feeling his right shin, as the deafening roar is from the German supporters, who were seeing their side bounce back after that 5-1 defeat to Eintracht Frankfurt. And Manchester United are 12 minutes away from the inquest that will inevitably follow for a club like Manchester United, not even to be in the Europa League come 2024.
Say what you like, it's embarrassing, really. You look at what they achieved last season under Erik ten Hag. You look at the nature of this group, and if the scoreline stays the same in Copenhagen qualifying, Manchester United don't, after what they've spent over the last 18 months. Blimey.
Dalot swings over the cross from the left. Full-time at Vicarage Road in the Championship. Aaron Paul.
Watford 1, Ipswich 2. Kieran McKenna's side had to dig deep for this one. Yasser Asprilla broke the deadlock for the home side. George Hurst equalised, but in the end it was a captain's goal from Sam Morsey with 10 to go. That sends Ipswich Town top for tonight at least. Watford 1, Ipswich 2.
Forest Green are in danger of actually repeating the scoreline against Scarborough Athletic from the original tie that had to be forced to play again after they fielded an ineligible player. It was 5-2 then. It's now 4-2 for them in North Yorkshire. Kobe Mainoo is going to be coming on for Manchester United. There were no other goals to tell you about elsewhere. And it's going to be Rafael Varane who's going to be coming off. So Amrabat will probably slot in alongside Johnny Evans. Another defensive partnership, considering that they started out with Varane and Harry Maguire.
Yeah, another change. Maybe resting Varane up. Maybe looking ahead for the weekend. But I mean, Erik ten Hag still has to believe his side can come back into this game, doesn't he? When you think the history of this club, Manchester United and late goals.
Well, the history in recent years actually doesn't make for particularly good reading in the Champions League for Manchester United since their last Champions League final, which was at Wembley, as in this competition. For this year, that was back in 2011. They've reached the quarter-final only twice in 8 previous Champions League campaigns. Preston North End are back to winning ways. 4 without a win. They've beaten Huddersfield Town away by 3-1. And the other thing as well, just to mention, is there's a stoppage in play on the far side. New format for next season, where it's increased to 36 sides. The 2 best performing leagues will actually get an extra place for next season, but it comes down to the coefficient. Manchester United going out of Europe altogether doesn't help the English cause in that respect. 9 minutes remaining.
You're right.
Here is Harry Kane. Lima down the line towards Müller, wins the free kick.
I don't know what Dallow's moaning about there. That's wrestling. You can't do that. Müller backs into him. You can't win the ball, Dallow. And now no rush from the Germans.
5 Live Sport, BBC Sounds, also live on Radio Manchester tonight. Tomorrow night, Newcastle United against Milan, live from St James's, the build-up from 7. Saturday's 5 Live Sport, Manchester City Crystal Palace is the 3 o'clock commentary with the usual goal service, and then commentary of Burnley against Everton. And on Sunday we'll bring you Arsenal, Brighton, Liverpool against Manchester United on BBC Radio 5 Live. But with 8 minutes remaining, Bayern Munich are 1-0 up. And they have a free kick just in from the right touchline. Kimmich fires it over, cleared away well by Evans, fired back in by Goretzka, and then it comes to Kim, whose shot is deflected behind for a corner kick.
Tremendous delivery, wasn't it, from Kimmich out on that right-hand side. And actually, Manchester United have scrambled defensively at times and done it pretty well, but that's one of the positives tonight, if there can be a positive, but there can't be too many. In possession they have been woeful.
Out swinging corner kick, Harry Kane with the header, and it's just wide. Well, his record against Manchester United, played 19, won 6, drawn 3, lost 10. He's only scored 5 goals. That was very close to taking it to 6.
Yep, really poor defending. As Højlund, who picks up Harry Kane initially, right-footed outswinger, and Harry Kane on the penalty spot. And you'll see that as a bad miss. He goes back across the goalkeeper, does the right thing, textbook header, but a couple of inches wide.
Dalot picks up this ball, runs forward, runs straight towards Lima. The reaction from the Manchester United supporters is going to be interesting, because we did a little preview for Radio Manchester, didn't we, with ahead of the game, and by and large they have stayed with the manager, the supporters. They haven't seemed to be over too critical of Erik ten Hag, but this is a huge disappointment for Manchester United to be out of Europe.
Well, yeah, it's not over yet, but if you're battered by Bournemouth, then I suppose you think you're going to be beaten by Bayern, don't you?
Yes, they've been muted by Bayern Munich tonight. Full time at Walsall, Sunny Rudravagula.
Yeah, Walsall are through to the 3rd round. They've managed to beat Alfreton Town by 1-0. 300 or so of the away fans are giving their team in yellow a round of applause. The 6th-tier side have done them teams proud, but Walsall go through. Jamil Matt's goal the difference. Walsall 1, Alfreton Town 0.
So Walsall will be away to Southampton in round 3. Stevenage have levelled in injury time at Vale Park. Port Vale 2, Stevenage 2. So Maidstone United of the National League South will just have to wait a little longer to see who their opponents will be in early January. Manchester United trailing dismally once again at home against Bayern Munich, who've shown their quality. And Lima running forward now on that right hand side, held up by Johnny Evans. It will run out of play. Evans now actually keeps it in play, but only feeds it further down the line, and eventually Manchester United get a throw. 5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, and you just can't see it. You know, where's the spark? You can't see it happening, can you? They just haven't done enough in an attacking sense. Well, it's so disappointing.
It's funny you say that about a spark, because I actually highlighted a paragraph in Erik ten Hag's programme notes tonight that I actually thought were quite telling. Since August we've been waiting for the spark which will make our season catch fire, and it's down to us to provide it. Each game we play gives us the opportunity to produce that spark, and we have to keep believing in ourselves and keep working together as one to make it happen. But it hasn't happened tonight, and it hasn't really looked like happening.
No, and I mean, that's a good run from Pelestri, but the ball overhit. I mean, they haven't really tested the Bayern Munich backline, in truth. Højlund cuts a frustrated figure. I mean, the balls which go into him, I mean, he doesn't get any service, does he? I mean, there's no link up, there's no understanding with players in and around him. McTominay, I think he's the top scorer for Manchester United this season, isn't
McTominay?
Yeah, he's not really a clever footballer in terms of his link up. You know, plenty of endeavour, good eye for a goal. Bruno Fernandes, the longer this game has gone on, he's hidden. Where are the chances coming from?
Forest Green have won that replay tie in the FA Cup first round. Scarborough Athletic 2, Forest Green 4, so Forest Green will be away to Blackpool. The Norwegian referee, with 3 minutes remaining, has given a free kick to Manchester United. Bristol Rovers have gone through, they've beaten Crewe 4-2, so they're away to Norwich in round 3.
Tough draw.
We know about Walsall, and we're still playing at Port Vale and Stevenage. Newport, incidentally, have won away 4-1 at Barnet. So Newport County will be at home to Eastleigh in round 3.
I mean, that sums up Bruno Fernandes this evening. Quick free kick taken, eye contact with Højlund, and he trying to pick Højlund out of making a run in the right-hand channel, hits it straight to Goretzka.
Referee is going to give a free kick here and show a yellow card to Goretzka. Manchester United awarded a free kick. Full times in the Championship then: Blackburn Rovers 2, Bristol City 1, Huddersfield 1, Preston North End 3, Rotherham 0, West Bromwich Albion 2, Stoke City 1, Swansea City 1, Watford 1, Ipswich Town 2. So Ipswich go to the top of the table with that 4th successive win and are 2 points clear of Leicester City. They're still playing at the Stadium of Light in an 8 o'clock kickoff, where Sunderland are leading Leeds United by a goal to nil. 1-0 to Bayern Munich. Manchester United heading out of Europe altogether with a free kick, downward header by Evans, cleared away on the volley by Kimmich, 6 yards out from his own goal. Manchester United playing from left to right, out towards that far side to left. Darlow swings over the cross, Upamecano's header will go out of play for a throw. Back to Conor McNamara watching that game in Copenhagen.
Into stoppages, 4 minutes to be added on. Copenhagen still leading Galatasaray by a goal to nil, but a little twist in the tail here, a little bit more jeopardy, is that Copenhagen have been reduced to 10. Their goal scorer, Lucas Leraher, has been sent off, second yellow card offence, so only these 4 minutes of stoppages to go, but a little bit more jeopardy for Copenhagen. Still, Galatasaray would need to score twice. Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0 for now.
As it is, Copenhagen going through with Bayern, as the German support, who've been wonderful throughout, are actually singing "It's Coming Home." They could be en masse at Wembley in June of next year. Bayern Munich looking to add for what would be a 7th European crown of Europe's elite competition. as Manchester United, we're going to find out how much stoppage time there will be, are looking for the first time in 27 years, suffering 2 home defeats in the group stages of the Champions League. Then it was Fenerbahce and Juventus. Now it'll be Galatasaray and Bayern Munich in this group. Group A, Sané's going to be coming off, and the player who's going to be coming on to replace him is Rafael Guerreiro, very experienced Portuguese international. Had a number of injury issues this season, so this is only his 6th appearance. He's been troubled by a calf injury, formerly of Borussia Dortmund, who he joined on a free in the summer. He comes on for Sané, a former Manchester City player who had a decent record during his time at City, winning 4 of his 7 games. On the winning side yet again tonight. 5 minutes of added on time here at Old Trafford. You could probably put up another 10 minutes and still Manchester United wouldn't look like scoring, as they trail by a 0-0. Amrabat. And even if they were to win, it would make not a jot of difference, given the fact that, well, actually no, it would, in the fact that they would still then qualify for the Europa League. But that's what they've got to do. They've got to find 2 goals in 5 minutes to do that, because Copenhagen leading Galatasaray. Cross comes in. They're going to get a corner kick. Well, they've scored late goals in the Premier League against Fulham. Scored 2 goals against Brentford here earlier in the season in the Premier League. But it is, in fact, Hannibal at one stage I thought was telling Onana to come forward at one stage, the way he was wheeling his arm, as Goretzka's gone down inside the 6-yard box. The Norwegian referee is on hand, but they just haven't done enough, Chris Sutton.
No, they haven't thrown enough punches, have they? Haven't gone down swinging.
A shadow of the side that played against Chelsea here last week. Fernandes waits to take the corner kick on that far side, the left. In swing and out, headed out by Harry Kane. Lifted back in by Wan-Bissaka. Muller will gauge that bouncing ball. Fernandes actually heads it into the path of Evans. Good footwork by Evans. Couldn't lay it out to Fernandes. Does come to Darlow, but Kimmich again with the block. And Bayern Munich will deal with that United cross, as Onana shows footwork on that far side, about 6 yards shy of the halfway line. Real Madrid are back in front. Dani Ceballos has put them 3-2 up at Union Berlin. 5 Live, BBC Sounds and Radio Manchester. In stoppage time at Old Trafford. Ball lifted in. Wan-Bissaka comes out to Wan-Bissaka. Can't get a shooting opportunity. Closed down by Goretzka, who now releases the ball out towards Muller, and the break is on. And this is Tell. And now it's with Guerreiro coming forward. Just slowed down a little bit by the ball from Tell. And Hannibal is back, and Manchester United have got red shirts. Back behind the ball. Full time in Copenhagen, Conor McNamara.
It's all over. Copenhagen have beaten Galatasaray by 1-0. Doesn't matter what Manchester United do. United needed this game to be a draw, and it's not. Leraher's goal, he was later sent off. Copenhagen 1, Galatasaray 0. Copenhagen through.
And Galatasaray into the Europa League, because Manchester United are out of Europe altogether, trailing by 1-0, and we have 2 minutes of stoppage time remaining. Hannibal with his mop of hair away on that far side, the left. The amount of black shirts, though, back for Bayern Munich. They have certainly responded after their own disappointment at the weekend. Both managers talked about not reaching the highest of standards that they set. Bayern Munich have responded. Manchester United have come up against a quality side. Fernandes chips it in and over the head of Upamecano, and it drops out of play for a throw.
And Bruno Fernandes, what does he do? Waves his arms, blames Pelistri. And that's your Manchester United captain. That is your Manchester United leader. Final third, Manchester United haven't done enough. Let's get it right. Are we surprised by this result? Are we surprised by Bayern Munich's dominance? I'm not.
No. Although when I did say that at the start of the evening, I was accused of being negative.
Well, you accused you of being negative, but you were proved right.
Negative or a realist? Bayern Munich 1-0 up. Manchester United are 60 seconds away. They're going out of Europe altogether. Here is Harry Kane laying it off. Only the fourth English side to have finished bottom of a Champions League group. And Manchester United in their 25th Champions League campaign
spent over £400 million since Erik ten Hag has been in charge. What have Copenhagen spent in that period?
Manchester United not even have the consolation of the Europa League to look forward to. The cameras are trained on Erik ten Hag. The players, though, as Scott McTominay said yesterday, have to be the ones to take the responsibility, because with the exception of Luke Shaw from long distance and an effort from Bruno Fernandes that was dragged wide, they haven't looked at all like scoring. And the empty red seats and the boos and the cheers at the full-time whistle tell its own sad, sorry story for Manchester United. Bottom of Group A, out of Europe altogether, as a quality Bayern Munich extend their record unbeaten run in the group stages, undefeated, to 40 games.
Bottom and rotten, in truth. That's what they have been in this Champions League group. They've been inconsistent all season. They're just not very good. I mean, that is the bottom line with Manchester United this season. They are going backwards under Erik ten Hag. I don't think the blame solely lies with Erik ten Hag in that respect, but in a must-win game you have to go down swinging, and they didn't. Bayern Munich were miles ahead of Manchester United. A lot of thinking to do at this club, and do you know what, Ian, it's not going to get any easier. They go to Anfield on Sunday.
Yes, they do. And then also on Boxing Day they've got Aston Villa to come as well, and West Ham United away in between that. But not even the consolation of the Europa League, and Manchester United, in such a disappointing Champions League campaign, are out of Europe altogether. It was a must-win game, but they never looked like winning it. Bayern Munich, head and shoulders above, created always the threat in the first half, and no surprise, Harry Kane with the assist, finding Coman, who scored 19 minutes from time. Kane could have added a second, 7 minutes from the end, but Manchester United 0, Bayern Munich 1 is the full-time score.
Ian Dennis and Chris Sutton at Old Trafford for us will be reflecting on that game and the implications of it until 10:30 here on 5 Live Sport. We'll also be joined by Steve Bruce and Statman Dave on a disappointing night, in a disappointing campaign, in a disappointing season for Manchester United. They were beaten 1-0 at home by Bayern Munich. That was the final blow for them. But it wouldn't have mattered what they did, because the full-time whistle went at Copenhagen. They were facing Galatasaray. Even if Manchester United had managed to get the win against Bayern Munich, they needed that to be a draw. But that isn't what happened. Conor McNamara.
No, this has been Copenhagen's night, a big one for them. For only the second time ever they go through to the last 16 of the Champions League. They have beaten Galatasaray by 1-0. The goal came just before the hour mark for Leraher, who was later sent off right at the very end of the game. But Copenhagen defended very well. There's a lot of attacking talent in the Galatasaray team. The likes of Icardi and Wilfried Zaha. They brought Ziyech, the former Chelsea man, off the bench. Mertens came on as a substitute too. But Galatasaray were not able to trouble Grabara in the Copenhagen goal. His defenders did really good work ahead of him. Copenhagen, not like they were full of chances either, but they took the big one, and their victory meant that the group is, as it was at the start of the night, that they go through in second place. And Galatasaray, well, their one bit of solace tonight is that they don't leave Europe altogether, because the Turks will be dropping into the Europa League, having finished in third.
Conor, for now, thank you very much. Elsewhere, a much-changed Arsenal were held to a 1-1 draw at PSV Eindhoven in their final match of the Champions League group stage. Arsenal had already won Group B ahead of this fixture, and John Bennett's going to be back after 10 o'clock to round up all the scores from the Champions League. Also, busy night in the EFL. Full-time at the Stadium of Light. It was Sunderland against Leeds. Rob Law was watching this.
Sunderland 1, Leeds 0, a chess match at times. Leeds with the majority of possession possession, but they just couldn't break Sunderland down. The home side catching Leeds countless times on the counter, and the breakthrough came in the second half. An impressive flowing move from one end of the pitch to the other, shot into a crowded Leeds penalty area, took a deflection and fell kindly to Joe Bellingham, who headed home from close range. Leeds threw everything at it late on, but it just wasn't to be. They taste defeat for the first time since October, bringing their 7-game unbeaten run to an end. Meanwhile, it's back-to-back home wins for the Black Cats, who remain in the top 6, and all without a permanent manager. Sunderland 1, Leeds 0.
Rob, thank you very much for that. Ipswich have gone top of the Championship after a 2-1 win at Watford. Blackburn beat Bristol City 2-1. Huddersfield beaten 3-1 at home by Preston. It finished Rotherham 0, West Brom 2, Stoke 1, Swansea 1. And in League 1, Reading 1, Oxford United is a full-time score. FA Cup second round replay action this evening as well. Barnet were beaten 4-1 at home by Newport County. It finished Crewe 2, Bristol Rovers 4, Walsall 1, Alfreton 0, Port Vale 2, Stevenage 2 in a dramatic game that's gone into extra time. Late drama in that one. There was an equaliser on 81 minutes for Stevenage. There was a goal back on 81 minutes for Stevenage, and the equaliser came on 90 plus 6 minutes. So they've still got a little while to go in extra time in that one. We'll let you know what happens. The Scottish Championship, Morton beat Inverness by 2-1. And before we head to the news, let's check in with Kevin Howells. He's watching England take on the West Indies in the first of 5 men's T20 internationals. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, yeah. England hoping this change of format from the ODIs, which they lost 2-1, to this 5-game series of T20s, is going to bring them a change of fortune as well as they round off a difficult calendar year. It's Bridgetown, game 1 of 5, preparation for next summer's World T20 in the West Indies and the USA. West Indies have won the toss, decided to bowl first. Ray Russell is back for the home side after 2 years out. For England, the current world champions, Joss Buttler and Full Salt, opening here now with Wokes, Mills and Adil Rashid all added to England's team. Rashid 100 caps in the format, just underway, as yet not a run being scored.
Kevin, thank you very much. Coming up, there is all the reaction to Manchester United's exit this evening from European competition. All the analysis from Old Trafford is next. First, though, it's the news on 5 Live with Nick Hatfield.